The slides pretty quick. If you have questions on the slides, raise your hand, yell out, something like that, so that we can go over those right away. If there's any issues with things that you've had happen at your meets, feel free to go ahead and just raise your hand if it's pertaining to the slide that we're on. Okay. Otherwise, if you don't have any questions, we'll get through this pretty quick. You have the tests. For those of you that, if you lose the test or something like that, not a big deal. Just email myself or Darcy, who will be happy to get it to you. And we'll kind of go over some of that stuff when you send the test in and how that's taken care of in a little bit. Okay. So some of the things that we're going to go over on the slides, we've broken it up into different parts. So just kind of follow through here as we go along, and a lot of the slides may not need a lot of information talked about them. So just some general information. These are just some topics that we're going to go over originally here in this first part of the test. So, your meet director, everybody here is here to become a meet director, okay? You're going to be appointed by the host team, okay? So each one of you is going to be represented through a swim team, okay? These things that you are going to be in charge of, you're going to procure awards, obtain the sanction, make sure that you have a facility, arrange people for your meet to run computers, equipment. You're going to get entries taken care of. You're going to print programs, arrange for possible media coverage, and also results to be sent to the LSC. Now, before you become a meet director, some things you want to definitely ask yourself is number one is, why am I doing this? Okay? Because you have a lot of time on your hands and you're bored at home and you don't have anything to do, is probably where most of you are at. All right? Am I the right person for this job? Okay? What are your expectations? Are your expectations to have a perfect, flawless meet every single time you do one? Because if that's the case, I would not be a meet director, okay? Something's going to happen. Kid's going to do something. A volunteer on your team is not going to show up. Something's going to happen, and you're going to have to figure out what to do. What are the expectations of swimmers, parents, coaches, officials? What are all these expectations that the kids want? The kids want awards. They want awards on time, okay? If you can at all possibly get awards taken care of during the meet so that kids can pick them up at the meet, that will make kids very happy. It'll also make parents happy because they won't listen to their kids complain all the time. Making sure that the results are taken care of and posted on time. That's something that helps, expectations that parents have. The coaches want meet programs. They want the meet to start on time, okay? Those types of things, so that everything flows well, so that the coaches can know when their kids are going to swim in what races. You got to make sure you have enough officials for your meet. That way your officials are happy as well. If you have the minimum amount of officials for a meet, they're going to be standing on their feet the whole entire time, and they might not be very happy and may not want to come back. And then golf and USA Swimming, what are the rules that you have to go through? And these are some of the stuff that we're going to go over today. Hopefully you're also doing this because you like kids. Okay, most of you probably have kids yourself, and if that's the case, your kids are swimming, you want to be a part of their sport, you want to help them out as well as help your team out. The volunteering is important, and you believe in the sport of swimming as a long-term benefit as well, okay? I'm not the right person for the job. And one of the big thing is are you going to Are you going to make time, or do you think you're going to make time? Because if you're just going to think possibly I could make time for this position, maybe a lighter volunteer position is something that you need to be doing. Okay. You know, do I know what I'm supposed to do? How I'm supposed to do it? Do I understand the different aspects of being a meet director? Am I organized enough? Can I plan ahead? You know, things like you have to have your meet announcement in, which we'll go over 9 weeks ahead of time. Are you able to plan that far in advance so that you can get things taken care of? Am I a good manager? Can I communicate with other people, other committee members, other volunteer positions as well? And recruiting is a big one for a meet director, trying to go out, talk to a couple parents, try to figure out, hey, can we get somebody to help out here? Most of you here probably were recruited. You did not ask to become a meet director. It wasn't probably something that you strove to accomplish, but you were asked to do it and you thought it was a good idea. So, and then being friendly. You don't want the person to come up to you and then you end up yelling at them whenever it's done and not being able to resolve a situation calmly, and then that person come away not enjoying the situation, not enjoying the meet, and having complaints about it. You know, what are your weaknesses? How are you with computers? With the rules of swimming? Okay. You know, can you get a facility, and do you understand what the safety rules are and procedures with that facility and how things work? Okay. These are very important things. If you're not good at specific areas, it's good for you to try to find somebody else, work alongside with somebody else who is going to be good at those things. Okay? So, what are my expectations? All right? What type of swimmers will I have at my meet? Okay, is it just going to be a 10 and under meet or an 8 and under champs meet? In that case, you're going to have to make sure that you have the proper volunteers ready to be in place for a bunch of 8 and unders who've never swam in a meet before. Okay? Is it a senior meet where every single kid knows exactly what they're doing and a lot of kids don't show up to the meet? Okay? You're going to have potentially a lot of empty lanes on particular days of a senior meet because something happens. They didn't realize they had a high school meet that day. They're going to a high school meet instead of the USA meet. You know, what is it? Is it an all-age meet? You know, is it a championship meet? How and when do I get my awards? Okay, who do I order my awards from? You know, those types of things we're going to go over here in a little bit as well. Can I communicate? So you're communicating with the volunteers, communicating with the facility, potentially communicating with your coaches on your own team, okay? Maybe board members on your team to figure out how much finance you have for this meet to pay for it, what types of things do you need to get donated, stuff like that. So what are the expectations of somebody else? You know, we went over parents. You know, is it an organized event? Is the facility clean? Is there a good spectator seating? Drinks for timers in your lanes. Can you bring water to them? Different snacks as well if that's something that you can do at your facility. Sometimes facilities don't allow food on the pool deck. And then coaches and officials, we kind of went over these as well. Again, is it well organized? Good communications, announcements, and things like that need to be able to be heard. You can't have a muffled PA system that you're not going to really be able to hear the announcer and what's going on, especially if there's important announcements going on. If that's the case, how are you going to get the message to the coaches and to the officials if they can't understand what you're saying? Okay. If something happens to the PA system, you need to figure out a way to resolve that situation. Is it a safe environment? Are there different hazards that you need to mark off for your meet? and is it healthy hospitality for the coaches rather than and officials is just pizza and candy and stuff like that, or do you have different options that people can have? Okay. And then, like I said, we are going to go over some of these, but and then in the test you have different rules that you need to look up as well. But following USA and golf swimming rules, plan accordingly for your particular meet. Organize your staff and volunteers properly according to USA and golf swimming rules.
Yeah.
My apologies. Thank you. And submit the forms and things like that when you need to. Okay. When are results due? When are payments due to the golf? Things like that. Okay. All right, so just a couple things we're going to go over here. Why do we have an annual certification every year? Steps for new meet director, recertifications, and then we're going to go over meet sanctions as well. So golf swimming requires that everybody, each host team have a certified meet director. Okay, this will help each team to know what rules they need to follow. What types of things meets run smoothly, what different rules that come up each year we're going to go over. There's two new rules in the golf that we have this year that we're going to go over so that everybody kind of understands, and if you have any questions on those, this is the time to ask. All of you that are here, it's good. If you're not here, somebody's not here and they have to watch the video, they may not quite understand what some of these rules are, the new rules. So, annual certification, like I said, provides training, identifies and discusses previous year problems, and then discuss rules and procedures. And then we can also share some ideas of things that may or may not have worked in years past. So, certification for a new meet director, first off, if you're new and you're at this meeting, that's the number one thing that you need to do to become a meet director, okay? After you are here, you participate in this clinic, then what we do is you take the test. You fill out the answers of the test, you pass the test with an 80%, and then that's the second step. Then you go through USA Swimming, and you get your registration as a USA non-athlete member. You have to pass the background check, which is just the thing you go on USA Swimming, fill out your name, they check it, they let you know. Usually it doesn't take too long as you're not backed up. You get your past, unless you were previously a criminal, then you may not be able to become a meet director. Then the last thing is your athlete protection training course, which is another course that you take on USA Swimming. Okay, it's not a very long course. It just talks about what types of things you need to do to protect the athletes in the sport of swimming. So recertification, the only thing you really don't have to do is take the test. Okay, you come to this meeting, you're recertified. Okay. Now, if you can't make the meeting one year, or you know somebody on your team who wants to be a meet director who couldn't make the meeting, that's fine. We're videotaping the meeting, and you email. Actually, you'll email Darcy, and when you email Darcy, she'll send that person the DVD. You watch the DVD. Once you're done watching the DVD, you let us know, and then you have to pass the test again with an 80%. Okay, but like I said. Otherwise, as long as you're here, you're good to go. You don't have to retake the test if you've been a meet director last year. Okay. You also have to go ahead and continue with your USA registration, the background check when it's up, and the athlete protection when it's up as well. Okay. Yeah, just noted this. Okay, meet sanctions and certified meet directors. So meet sanctions require a certified meet director. on a sanction application, on the meet announcement, and you have to be present at all the sessions of the meet. You can't just leave. If you only have one meet director for your meet, that meet director cannot go off site to go get something. They have to be at the facility the whole time. Okay. Meet directors on the sanction must be, as we just said, registered through USA Swimming, current on their background, athlete protection has to be current, and again, they have to have come to this meeting and pass their test. We take record, we keep records of everybody that was here from year to year so that you are certified. Okay, that's why you sign in. If you didn't sign in yet, you need to make sure and sign in before you leave. Otherwise, you can't prove that you were here. So resources for getting help. So not only resources for getting help at meets and different questions that arise before a meet, during a meet, or after a meet, but these are also where you're going to get your answers to your test questions. Okay? So answers to your test questions are going to be either on this slide, a slideshow, which you all should have, and then also at the website here. Okay? And so we have the Golf Swimming Handbook. There's also the USA Swimming Rule Book. Okay? All of which you will need to use to pass the test. Okay? So volunteers are what make meets run. We can't do it without volunteers. We can't do it without you guys. We got to have volunteers. You guys need to make sure that you have enough volunteers at your meets so that your meet runs smoothly. Okay? You got to have a meet referee. You have to have officials. Those are the minimum amount of officials that are required for a meet to run. You got to have your meet director, safety marshal, which we're going to go over, who enforces your warm-up procedures and maintains order on the venue. They'll also be the ones, either them or yourself, will be somebody who fills out information when it comes to somebody who gets injured or something like that. Okay. Entry chairman, and then your clerk, of course, is also someone who procures the deck entries, make sure that all of that stuff is filled out correctly so that whenever it gets sent to your computer people, it's easy for them to fill it out and get it taken care of. You got to have somebody who's able to operate your timing console, somebody who can operate your computer, which will also be your administrative official, will be a part of that. You need to have a timing judge, runners. So your runners are going to be doing a lot of different things. Be doing the clerk of course, running clerk of course stuff to the computer people at the beginning of the meet. They're going to be handing out things for lane timers, collecting lane timer sheets, awards, sending them to the awards table, and then also doing a lot of posting of results or even posting of psych sheets and meet programs at the beginning of the meet. So you have your head timer. He needs to have 2 backup watches so that in case somebody doesn't start their watch on time, they can raise their hand and hand out their timer. Announcer, your hospitality chairman, a concessions chairman. If you're going to have ads for your venue, maybe you can make a little bit of money, extra money on your meet by posting ads in your meet program. That's something else you can do. You got to sell your meet programs and your site sheets, but also usually at the same place you may also have your awards table. So that person may be the same person. Maybe you want to separate it. So if you're going to rent equipment from the Gulf, you're going to rent the equipment. You got to have somebody who can pick it up at the right time. Also return it. You need to have people who understand how to take the equipment out properly and put it back in properly to make the people in charge of those equipment the equipment easy for them to go through it, make sure everything is taken care of, make sure everything works properly. If anything's broken, they need to be notified of it. So you need to have somebody who's able to take charge of that and understand how to be organized in that fashion. Also, your equipment set up and the cleanup as well, so that things can be taken care of, done quickly, and organized well as well. So, organizing volunteers. So these are very important things to run a meet. You as a meet director, you can't do everything, okay? Sometimes, some of you may have I'd rather do it than have somebody else do it for me, because I know that I'm going to do it the right way and they may not, okay? You got to kind of make sure that you can pass information, pass tasks off to somebody else without having too much of an issue with that, with yourself, okay? You got to appoint key people who can do different jobs, match people to jobs that would suit them that they may want to do, okay? Maybe something that they're good at. And even from year to year, if you want to have set up an organized deal where people go from year to year doing the same jobs, you know, getting the same people, they know what to do already. That way, you don't have to reteach somebody. Kind of have them have people teach, okay? That way, that's not something that you have to do every single year at the beginning of every season. Okay, train new volunteers. You can do things like inter-squad meets, have meetings prior to meets with your volunteers to explain things, how things will go at the meet, when you need to show up, stuff like that. And even have 2 or more meet directors at a meet. That way, if something does happen where somebody doesn't show up, you have a meet director there that can fill in until you can get somebody else to be in that spot. Make lists of positions that are filled, that aren't filled, so that you can go through very quickly and make sure that you have every position filled well in advance for the swim meet. You can't see that. But basically, it's just an example. It's actually an example from Henry's team, what they do. And all it is it lists, I'll just describe it. It lists your positions, okay? It also lists what meets they are. So for example, this particular year they had 5 meets. And what they did was they had people sign up for their slots at the beginning of the season. They listed all these meets out, said, okay, we need somebody to do these specific spots. When they come to this meeting, they can sign up for these spots right then and there, and that way they know in advance what spots they need to be filled, okay? For teams that have specific requirements for their families to meet a certain amount of volunteer hours, okay, this comes in handy. When you have parents that have to meet volunteer hours, they want to make sure and get the spots that they can do, versus getting spots that are just, you know, my kid's not even swimming at a senior meet because they're 8 and under, but I don't have any spots left, so now I have to go and volunteer at the senior meet, okay? So doing it in an organized way, maybe you can get more volunteers filled up quicker, okay? Figure out what works for your team. Not the same thing works for every team the same way. So organize the volunteers, find a system that works. Understand which positions are required and necessary for your meet. Now, you're not going to necessarily need people to organize 8 and unders at a senior meet, okay? Hopefully. Plan early communication, but 95% of your meet success is going to be before the meet even starts, okay? You can't be organized, you're going to have a hard time having a really successful meet, okay? So your meet marshal, safety marshal should wear an identifying attire. They enforce warm-up procedure, maintain order in the swimming venue. The marshal shall have full authority to warn people of things that they're doing wrong. If something happens and they need to get the meet director and meet referee involved as well, That's stuff that they will end up doing. Their job is to kind of help you out, help maintain a safe environment, so that that's not something that you have to run around and try to do as well, okay? So you need to find somebody who's can speak up, who's not afraid to tell people that they need to be doing things, okay? Somebody, maybe a big, tall guy who might be a little scary. That would work as well, okay? You can't have somebody that's going to be sitting there checking their phone all the time, not paying attention to what's going on the pool deck, okay? Make sure that only kids are in specific areas, that parents don't go into where the kids are supposed to be at. Okay, USA Swimming has a rule that you can't have parents on deck. Some of the venues that we have for meets, that's hard to do. Okay, it's very hard to do. But you got to figure out what will work for your team and how you can get parents and get people to follow the rules. So your marshal must be at least 21 years old. They also have to have the non-athlete registration. They need to have the background check passed, and they need to complete the USA Athlete Protection as well. So you must have your safety marshal or meet marshal posted on your announcement. And to get a sanction, you have to have them with these things taken care of, okay? If you don't, then you're not going to be able to have your meet sanctioned until that happens, okay? So I have been told that that's happened in the past. Haven't had a meet marshal, and it's taken a long time for a team to get their sanction taken care of, okay? Because they don't have the meet marshal taken care of. So make sure that you guys have a meet marshal before you send your announcement in. Meet marshals may not perform any other jobs at the meet. Okay, you can't have them be an official or a coach or the clerk, of course. So you can't have the meet start until the meet marshal is there. Okay, you can't have, actually, I take that back. You can't have the meet start. You can't have warm-ups even start before the meet marshal is there. All right, so you got to have them there on time before the meet's even there, when the facility is opening up. Okay. So you need to be there 15 minutes before warm-up. Check in with the referee. Talk to the referee. See if there's anything that they need to be aware of. You should potentially have a whistle. Easily identifiable. You know, maybe a yellow jacket or something like that. One of those fashionable things that construction workers wear. Marshals should be around the warm-up, warm-down area, kind of walking throughout the meet. You can't really leave that area. Have specific people in spots so that the whole pool has somebody watching it versus having just one person walking around the entire pool. Okay? It's not as safe that way. There's a lot of things that can be missed. Station people in specific areas. If you want them to rotate throughout the meet, that's fine. But make sure that they're rotating and they're not moving around. Okay? So make sure swimmers are safe. No running. Notify the coach if a swimmer is misbehaving, so that possibly the coach can take action before there needs to be any other action taken into consideration. Use appropriate language. You know, you're not the President of the United States. You are just there to make sure everybody is safe. Okay, and that's your job. Just make sure that the environment is a safe environment for the kids to be in, and that they have fun as well. Okay. So officials, the meet directors.
Question?
Yes.
Sorry. The background training, the athlete protection course, how long do those go for? Is it 2 years? So every 2 years have to redo it?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. So officials, the meet director is responsible for getting officials for your meet. Okay, you got to have, before you even start, before you get your send your meet announcement in, and it gets sanctioned, you have to have a meet referee, okay? A lot of teams don't have meet referees within their team, but there are a lot of meet referees. We'll go over that in a little bit and kind of talk about how you can get those. Need to have an administrative official. They can't work on deck as a referee. They have to be behind the computers, making sure the computers run smoothly and properly as well. Okay. You'd have a starter and stroke and turn judges. And like I said, you want to try to have as many as you can. Okay, more the better. But if you have the minimum amount, you're going to struggle a little bit with keeping those officials happy. So contact officials that are attending your meet. Okay. The golf website has a list of officials by team. It has a list of officials, what officials do, meet referees, administrative officials. It's all listed out for you. You can go on, it has their contact information. Okay? You can email them, you can call them, you can try to get officials that way. It's a lot of time these people they want to help. Okay? They want, most of the time, they want to do it if they can be there. Okay? If they have things going on, and a lot of times official may be able to go only on Sunday or only on Saturday, only for an afternoon session, that's fine. Just try to get as many as you can. And there are some officials that don't belong to any team. They just do it because they enjoy the sport of swimming, they believe in the sport of swimming, they've done it their whole lives with their kids, and they're willing to help as well. Yeah.
Is there still a fine if you have less than 4 officials? There used to be a $100 fine.
I'm not sure about that.
You're talking about team registration?
I'm saying you have to have those 4. If you only
At
have
a
3, USA allows you to have 3, but the golf used to have a fine if you only had less than 4.
I don't think it's very enforced. Academy?
There's been a couple.
I know we've had a lot before.
So one thing that you as a beat director maybe need to try to communicate with your coaching staff or other people on your team, maybe if you have a volunteer coordinator on your team, try to figure out how you might be able to get parents to volunteer as officials. Okay, there's certain times during the year where we have officials training. They can go take the class, and they can be on deck once they pass everything to start becoming an official. Okay, that's something it's not challenging. It's a little time consuming at the beginning to get all the tests taken care of, but it's a lot of them do enjoy it. They enjoy being a part of the sport, understanding what their kids are doing, and it can be rewarding as well. So the golf has 21 referees. Last year we had 20, so this year we have 21. And any of those you can get for your meet. All right, they don't have to be attached to your team. I didn't go through and count each and every single official that we had. So we have lots of other officials. Okay. There's plenty throughout the golf, and like I said, you can just go online, look and see what officials for what team, and that way whenever you are told what teams are going to your meet, you can try to get the officials from those teams. So the administrative official is somebody you have to run a meet. They're going to work directly with the meet referee and supervise the dry side of the results of the swim meet. Okay, their responsibilities include all the entries, scratches, seeding the meet, making sure that the kids that deck enter the meet get deck entered properly, make sure that the kids through their are updated through USA Swimming and have their names properly entered in and their USA IDs properly entered in as well. So the administrative position is needs to work directly with the entry personnel, the clerk, of course. You make sure that you're working with the timing system operator and any of the judges for the meet, making sure that you are they're doing it properly. Okay, making sure, and like I said, this is a position that actually used to be a part of the meet director position as well, but they decided that they needed to split it off. So now we have the administrative official. So some of you here may also become administrative officials or are administrative officials, and that way, if you have a couple meet directors on your team and a couple administrative officials, you can work together and do different tasks that meets. So they have to be a certified official who has an overview of all the administrative needs of the meet while helping things run very smoothly with the results. Okay. They also got to make sure that the times are correct for them to be sent into USA Swimming. Okay. That is a big reason why we have this position, is so that those times can be correct in USA Swimming. We don't have any mistakes. So the administrative official may supervise and work in one or more of the administrative positions, but not work in a deck official position. Okay, so they can work behind the scenes in the computer room. All right. So what this ends up meaning is you have to have, as well as your deck officials, you have to have an administrative official behind the scenes as well. Each meet, like we said before, will require a meet referee, a deck ref, start, stroke, and turn judge, and then also the administrative official. So administrative official must be a registered USA member of USA Swimming, pass the background check, complete the online athlete protection, also pass the AO test, which is through USA Swimming, and must attend the AO training clinic. Okay, our AO training clinic is for this year's October 1st. So plan for some of your people to work that as well. But the other,
Should we get a time on that?
9:30 in the morning. Where?
Let's check the area.
It's not here. West Chase area. It's at the place where
Where
the
the
banquet is at.
Yes.
Okay.
And that'll immediately be followed by a training session with the meet manager as well. Done by
You say the West Shakespeare area?
Mm-hmm.
It's where the banquet's held every year. Been to banquet, Beltway 8 and Westheimer.
So the other thing that an administrative official has to do is they have to shadow another AO at a meet for 2 sessions. Okay, and the meet referee of that meet has to sign off on them to become an AO, and make sure that they understand what they're supposed to do as the AO, follow the rules of the AO, and know what they're doing, so that there's no mistakes when they run their own meet. Okay. So the golf swimming meet schedule is posted online. There are what we call golf sponsored meets, and there are also club sponsored meets. Okay, golf sponsored meets, the formats, the dates, everything is decided by technical planning committee. Okay, it's also been approved through the House of Delegates. Okay, so all of the teams in the golf approve everything that is set through the technical planning. So it's not just the technical planning who makes these decisions. Okay. The club sponsor meets, anything that the club wants to do at a meet, as long as it fits in the rules, they can do. Okay. Now, there are very few limitations on dates this year. Okay, for club sponsor meets, the only limitations are championship meets. Okay, that you cannot host a club sponsored meet on a championship meet weekend. Okay, any golf open meet weekend, you're good to go this year. Okay, In the past, we've closed it. Last year, we closed it to any golf open meet weekend. Okay, so we couldn't overlap those meets. But this year, it doesn't matter. You can host a meet anytime. And then, like I said, make sure that you are following the rules through USA Swimming and also through golf swimming as well. So, just to kind of give you an overview of what this year's schedule looks like. I'm not going to go over each one, and I'm going to explain some of this stuff here in just a little bit of kind of how to read through that. But that way you guys have the schedule. So golf sponsored meets, we have, how we do these are, you have your open water championship meet, which this year is September 25th. Your open meets, which is all ages, okay? Open meets will be in October, November, January, April, May, and June. And then your golf championship meets. So we have the open water meet. It actually should be September, sorry, last year it was October. December, February, and then also in July. So common rules for golf sponsored meets. So you gotta follow the must follow the formats approved for golf swimming. Pre-seed events for short course season for 200 meters and shorter. You're going to deck seed events for the 400 and longer events for short course season. So that means that everybody has to circle in for those events. You do not have to circle in for the 200 and under events. Okay? All for short course. Meet entry fees are based upon how many warm-up and warm-down lanes you have. All right. For example, if you have a pool that has 8 lanes and 3 warm-up, warm-down lanes, then you're allowed to charge $3.50 per swimmer that goes to your meet. Okay. If you're swimming in a 50-meter pool and you're running that meet there with warm-up and warm-down lanes as well, then I believe your surcharge fee is, I think, $5. All right. Now, if you're running just a meet in an 8-lane pool with no warm-up and warm-down, then your surcharge fee is $2. Okay. If you don't remember that, let us know. Paige, who the sanction coordinator is, will know what that is. So whenever you sanction your information, she'll send it back and say your surcharge fee is X amount. Okay. So, yeah, or you can contact me. So, all long course meets are all deck seated. Okay. Every event is a circle-in event for long course. It helps with timelines. It helps make sure that the meets run a little bit faster because of empty lanes. So, I was right. Okay, so these are the surcharge fees. So, also with golf sponsored meets. Sorry. So when you're hosting a senior meet or possibly a one host championship meet, so you're the only host for that meet. Your team needs to design the meet manager file, okay? And you also have to make sure that you procure all of the entries for that meet, all right? If you're hosting a meet with 2 or more sites for that golf sponsored meet, then technical planning will make sure that the file is taken care of. Okay, they'll also make sure that all the entries are sent to me and then I put all of the teams into the meet file, and I separate them out for several reasons, okay? First reason, to make sure that the meet is even. All the meets are even. They're not one meet has a timeline that's 3 hours and one meet has a timeline that's 6 hours for a session, okay? We try to make sure that all the meets are within right around a 4-hour rule, okay? Like I said, we try. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes it goes a little bit more than that. That's okay. But we do our best to make sure that we're within that 4-hour rule. Also, the second thing I try to do, which sometimes I fail miserably at, is organize it to make sure that everybody has enough officials, okay? Now, if officials can't participate at that meet for whatever reason, I mean, I can't, you know, I don't have any say in that for them. But I look at the numbers of officials as well and try to see if I can get some of the larger teams spread out that have more officials, even some of the smaller, medium-sized teams that have a lot of officials spread out, so that each site will have enough officials to run their meet as well. After I get all that information and split them out, I send them to each host team. Okay, then you guys, after that, everything's on you. You have the entries, and then you can, if coaches need kids taken out of meets, events, things like that, they will contact you, and you'll decide what to do in that situation. Okay. One thing I want to go over, I don't think it goes over on anything else, is if a team contacts you 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks or something like that before your meet, saying I have a couple swimmers who decided they wanted to swim at this meet, can I get them in? That's completely up to you guys, okay? You can put them in right then, okay? Get them in the meet. Make sure that the coach, they send you the fees for those swimmers as well. That way you don't have as much stuff to do the day of the meet. Or you can say, no, you need to deck entry, okay? Now, a lot of teams, a typical rule for a lot of teams is as soon as they print the meet program, that's it. They will not, you know, they need a deck enter at that point, okay? So any changes after they print that don't want to do that. You want to make sure that they end up deck entering. That way there's no confusion the day of the swim meet with kids that need to be put into the meet, put into lanes at that meet that did not deck enter, okay? If I follow any sense at all. All right, so this is one of the new rules that we have. It's called the Beyond IMX rule. Okay, so I'm going to explain this really well. So, Beyond IMX, USA Swimming has an IMX. Okay, most of your kids, if you have kids, probably may know about it. I am ready, IMX. It's specific distances the kids need to swim to achieve this score that they have. Okay, they can go on to USA Swimming and look up their score based off of other kids on their team, other kids in the Gulf, in the nation, stuff like that, okay? So for events for like 10 and unders, okay? Beyond IMX for 10 and unders is the 500, okay? What that means is the only event that they can swim that isn't listed in the IMX is the 500, okay? And swimmers have to achieve a B time for the distance below that event. So for 10 and unders and at 500 free, they have to have swum the 200 free, and they had to have achieved a B time in that event or greater. Okay. Now this is a big thing for coaches to know. Okay. Some of you are like, I don't really understand this. That's not the biggest problem for you guys. Okay. The coaches need to understand what this is, and the coaches will get this information, okay? And hopefully most of them know enough about swimming that they can figure this out and understand what this means, okay? So for 11 and 12s, it's the 200 events. So they have to have achieved a B time in all of the 100 events of fly, back, and breast. They have to have achieved a 200 IM B time. And then if there's where there's the 800 meter or longer, they also have to have achieved a B time in that 500. Okay. And then for the 13 and overs, it's just the real long distance, 800 meters and overs. Okay. So why are we doing this? Why did we propose this as technical playing? Why did we propose this to the golf? A big reason is to kind of help out the timelines. This year, most teams have probably noticed that there's a lot more swimmers on their team, maybe this year than last year. Okay, and so we have a big bump from the Olympics, and with that big bump, we're going to have to figure out ways to manage our meet sizes, manage our meet timelines, and this was one way that we decided we were going to try to do that this year. Okay, so that's the big reason why we decided to do this, so that we're not running long timelines based off of what USA Swimming has as our IMX. Okay, any questions on this slide? Yeah.
Great rule, but does it apply to all golf sponsored events too, or just
All of golf sanctioned meets. Any host club sponsored meets does not apply to that.
I thought it was just open.
Right, championship. Thank you. Championship meets and senior meets. Championship meets this does not apply to. Okay, so kids can swim those 500 events or 200 events at championship.
Just go for it.
I believe you could have it apply to a club meet if you really wanted to.
Right, it's your choice. Yeah. So it's your club's choice if this is a rule that you would like to use. But as it was voted on, it is just specifically for the open meets.
And that's not something that the meet director is going to have to be responsible for.
No. You guys
just want us aware of
just need to be aware of what this new rule is. So when people come up to you and say, "I don't understand why this new rule is in place,"
But this wording's going to have to be an announcement, though, right?
yeah, and it should be in each announcement. But because it's an open meet, Paige will do that. I'll go over that, and it'll be in the announcement. Yeah.
Joel, one comment. So, go back to your previous slide. All right, so we're using the B time from USA Swimming to determine this beyond IMX rule. 2017, USA Swimming comes out with some next quadrennial time standards. So this is where people get confused. So we use the current time standards, the A, AA, AAA, BD, B, whatever, all the way up through December 31st, 2016. But then when we get to January 1st of 2017, we go to the next quadrennium, which is the 2017 to 2020 time standards. So this is where a lot of people get confused. Halfway through the short course season, we change the time standards. USA Swimming will announce the new time standards at the convention in September, and then it goes into effect January 1st of 2017. So when you're publishing your meet information, make sure you pull the right time standards if you're putting them in your heat sheets and so on.
The golf open meets, that's going to be done by the golf. That's part of it.
Well, it's the coaches need to pay attention to it. I don't think it goes into the meet file because there's no way for the meet file to look at what a swimmer has done in events that they're not entering. It's really on the onus of the coach. It's on the onus of the coach to make sure that they obey the IMX rule. It's probably a $20 per swim fine. It's a proof of time rule. So if the coach goes and enters a swimmer into an event that they fail to meet the IMX rules, beyond IMX rules, it's $20 per event.
And we're getting this off all of those.
Yeah, it'll be some time.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll make sure that everybody
All right. So the next second rule that we passed as well is our afternoon start times for meets. Okay. Now this is a rule. It was kind of decided that mainly a lot to do with our long course meets, because we have our deck entry where the kids circle in. Some meets run a lot faster, but what teams will be asked to do is they must use the wording that meets shall not start before such and such a time. Okay. Now, as a meet host, okay, you get the timeline, and hopefully you kind of have an understanding of how the deck seating process works, and how many swimmers typically don't show up, and how fast you run your meets, and you can kind of plan that a little bit. Okay. Sometimes your meet will say something like, you know, meet will not start before 1 o'clock, but it may start at 1:30. Okay, it's fine. But if your meet gets done 2 hours early and it's 11:45, okay, then you can't start warm-ups, so the meet does not start until 1 o'clock. All right. That way, families can plan. It's not, people aren't rushing to meet with traffic, especially certain times during like championship meets on like a Friday night or Saturday. If people have to travel an hour and a half to a swim meet, they can make sure and make it their plan to be there by a specific time. Okay? Any questions on that?
Just your second bullet says we can. Are those cans or must?
Can.
Those read as optional.
These are not, this was not a rule that was stated that you have to do. This was a rule that was highly suggested by technical planning. We decided we would not make we would leave it up to each host team so that there were less conflicts amongst the teams that are at the meet. If a team is running the meet much faster than what the timeline says. Okay? Yeah.
Does this apply to all meets at all, or just open meets?
So
This is highly suggested. Okay? This was not an actual rule that was completely passed by the House of Delegates. Okay? This is a statement. This is technical planning trying to figure out ways to have less conflict amongst teams at meets that have meets that run a lot faster than what the timeline says. Okay?
Suggesting a vernacular, basically.
Yeah, it's
You're
just,
suggesting a vernacular for an announcement.
Right.
The wording.
right, for wording, for announcement, and your warm up and
just for
pitch.
announcement, or this says
For the warm up,
for the
I think it says
warm-up
announcement,
plans to go on.
but it would be listed under your warm up for the PM session.
Correct. So you would take the PM session start time out of your announcement and say, see the warm-up announcement on the document.
Something like that.
Because otherwise you're going to have a conflicting time if your timeline came up different from your announcements.
Right.
You used to have to go get your say.
You can't, yeah. So, and we'll talk about, yeah, but
Yeah.
This is intended to help the athletes because having a start time that says immediately following the morning session, no one really knows when that is or what's going to be going on. The athletes are usually left in a situation where they're either several hours early or they're rushing to get there and they get yelled at by their coach. So if the wording says it will not start before a certain time, athletes and their families know when to get there. It's a very friendly rule. You may end up with a 15 to 20 minute break, but it's going to make people a lot happier and make each session run really good.
any other questions? Okay, so, yeah,
If the meet ends about an hour and a half early, you can't stop, correct?
if you have it in your announcement, no, you can't.
Okay.
Or if you have it in that, but you as the hosting team, you can be very flexible on that. Like even if the meet announcement says that the meet's supposed to be done at 1 o'clock, you can put in your announcement that we're going to be done at We won't start the meet before noon. Okay? I mean, it's up to you.
The coaches cannot say like, okay, can we protest even though it's posted, right? And they say, hey, the meet is already finished in 2 hours earlier. Can we start?
My understanding is that's a meet referee's rule
Okay.
at that point.
Just want to make sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
What I was told by a meet referee is whatever's in the announcement is what's sanctioned by USA Swimming and cannot be changed at the day of the meet.
That's why it says up there.
I will not start mine.
All right. So just to kind of go over our schedule. So you have in this blue box, entries are due for the teams to send it to wherever they're supposed to send it to. Okay, it has the date listed. To the right of that, it has what club meets so far have been set up on for this year. Okay, so that way teams can kind of look at this. You guys can look at this and see, okay, maybe there's a lot of meets. Here there's 2 meets in November that are also hosted on the same weekend as the Golf Open meet. Okay, so there's going to be some conflict there. All right, but just to kind of show you guys what type of information is done on that. So club sponsored meets. Host of the club has full control over their meet format. They can charge whatever they want. They have to create their meet file. They have to. So it's their entries need to be due to the host by the Tuesday to the week prior, so 10 days out from the meet. Okay. Is that right? Yes. Okay. Hosts may set their entry fee, surcharge fee to whatever they'd like, and there are no blocked weekends.
Other than
championship meets here. So this should be taken out. Sorry about that. So if you guys want to mark that off, golf open meets are not closed weekends anymore. Okay, anybody can host a meet on a golf open meet weekend. So the 4-hour rule applies to club sponsored meets only. So golf sponsored meets, if we do go over the 4-hour rule, there's no fines involved. If you go over the rule on a club sponsored meet, there are fines that are involved, okay? So the 4-hour rule, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically it is for 12 and under events. If you have a 12 and under event, from the time the meet starts, as long as you have 12 and unders in your meet, to when the last event dives into the pool, it has to be within 4 hours. Okay? If it exceeds that 4-hour rule, there's a fine. And I'm drawing a blank on what the fine is. Twice the splash fee per kid. Okay?
Twice the splash fee
Per kid.
Is it the last heat or the last heat of 12
the last heat.
It's the last heat of a 12 and under event.
Well,
What's the last heat that has a 12 and under in it?
So if
No.
last
It's the last heat of a 12 and under event.
Well, last heats that go past 4 hours, could be more than
Yeah.
Open event, it doesn't matter. It's 12 and under event.
Open events, it doesn't matter. If it's listed as an open event. If it's listed as a 14 and under event, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
It's listed as a 12 and under event. 12 and under event.
It just depends on how it's
Okay? There's some loopholes there. Any questions about the 4-hour rule?
Whatever the bag is, once you get to 4 hours, every heat is splashed
Yeah, all the rules that apply with the sanction, getting 9 weeks prior to your meet. You gotta have everything posted on time. You have to have everything sent in after the meet is done as well. You have to follow all those rules. Yes. Yep.
Only have 4-hour rules to meet referee official time.
Yes. Yes. The meet referee will keep time, a timeline. It's not the timeline that you have posted online. It's what the meet referee does at that meet. Okay, so if you're running ahead of time, you're fine. If you end up running later, there might be some issues there. Okay. So awards for golf meets. All meets are to have awards for swimmers except for senior non-championship meets. Okay. Minimum amount of awards you must have 1st through 8th place for all individual events, and you also must have 1st through 3rd place for all relay events. Remember, awards kind of help with excitement for kids. Having good ribbons, nice ribbons, not little tiny ones. Making sure that the kids enjoy what they're going to get, especially the younger kids. They like those ribbons. The older kids, they've probably been in swimming long enough to where they have a closet full of them, okay? So they don't really enjoy them as much as those younger kids do. So golf championship meets, we have specific awards that we have for those meets. Okay, Henry's already sent those in to Hasty Awards, and that's who you contact for these awards, okay? So you contact Angie. Not 100% sure it's Angie. Is it Angie still?
Yes.
Okay. So and they will kind of give you your awards based on what meet you're hosting. Okay. And the next slide goes over some of those awards. So if most of the time, if you put Hasty Awards in your program, you're going to get your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place team awards. And you also need to make sure that you order these awards about 4 to 5 weeks prior to the meet. Okay? Don't wait on those. Make sure that they have enough time to get those taken care of. So this is just a list of the awards that we have ordered for the meet, for the championship meets. And again, these are only championship meets. All golf hosted meets, sponsored meets, club sponsored meets, you have to get those on your own. Okay, so we're going to go over pre-meet planning. These are just some of the slides we're going to go over on the next cell here. So facility planning. Check the facility schedule before submitting a bid. Okay. Now sometimes this is a little difficult because you're using high school meets, or high school pools, and a lot of times, for example, we're hosting a meet in October. And I just got confirmation yesterday that we have the site available for our meet in October, okay? I mean, I didn't have a lot of time there, all right? So, there are issues with that. You need to try to do your best, figure out what was on the schedule last year for that facility, kind of plan ahead of time. So arrange the fees in writing so that you're not charged extra for things. Unexpected things that you didn't realize that you had to do that they're going to charge you more for. And you also need to make sure that your facility will be right for the meet that you're hosting, okay? If you're hosting a large meet or a small meet, your young or older kids, is this going to be an area where you can organize those 8 and unders so that they can get on the blocks properly, things like that, okay? Also, you need to determine specific areas like where the commercial course should be, where the scoring will be, program, sales, concessions, think of all that stuff. If you need somebody out in the traffic, making sure the traffic flows smoothly, that's something else that you need to also prepare for. USA Swimming has a pool length criteria. So if you're swimming in a 25-yard pool, it needs to be 25 yards. Okay, it can be 0.03 meters. further than 25 yards, but it does need to be measured, especially if there is a bulkhead. It needs to be measured with the pads in the water. Now, when you're swimming in a 50-meter pool, well, most of the time those are set up so that you have pads at both ends of the pool. So it needs to be measured with pads in at both ends before the meet starts. Okay?
Is this at every meet you have to do it, or once it's certified it's thingy and?
If your meet is it doesn't have a movable bulkhead, then you fill out the USA form. Most pools in Houston have accomplished that, those specific ones. If it has a movable bulkhead, you do need to measure it. But
okay, but if there's no bulkhead, then it is what it is, and we're done.
as long as it's certified.
As long as it's certified.
Right.
Oh, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
As long as it's certified.
So there, for example, there's a couple years ago we had a pool out in Richmond, and it was certified. The pool was certified. Okay, they had a meet, and the referee just happened to be looking down at the pool and realized that the pool went like this. So at the bottom, it kind of curved in. So it has to be at a specific length for a specific depth. Okay.
2 feet 7 1/2
And what happened was they fixed the walls, but they didn't really think about the fact that it makes the pool shorter. So it made the pool shorter. They swam a meet in it, and in the middle of the meet they measured the pool, even though it was already certified through USA Swimming. And so all those kids' times at that meet only counted for that season. Okay, so it was kind of a big mess. But it was nobody. The only person's fault. It was the facility's fault because they didn't let anybody know that that's what they did. Okay. So anyway, that's a very something that is very unlikely to happen. But, so I want to go over some of the things that you need to have possible to measure your pool length, okay? So this is a proof, okay? It's a steel tape. Very difficult to do this. You have to use kickboards. You got to make sure it's flat, but it's not really a good possible way to measure the length of your pool. Not the best. It's not the quickest. It's not very easy either. This is not approved. One that's not steel. It's fiberglass tape. These stretch. They move a lot easier. They're not going to be as straight. Okay. Now the best one is going to be your laser. Okay. There's a lot of different kinds of lasers out there, but your best one is going to be a laser measurer. It'll be the fastest way to do it, and definitely the easiest way. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about sanctions and announcements and things like that. So, sanction application packet is going to include these things. You got to complete the sanction application form. Your meet announcement, you got to submit your sanction fee. You have a separate fee for golf equipment, and make payments to the golf. Okay, so we have a way to pay for all of this on our website now. Okay, if you go to the golf website on the home page, to the right, there's a little gray box. Okay, and it says golf pay by credit card. Yeah, you go on there, you click what you want to pay for. Okay, if you're paying for a meet, how many days of the meet are you gonna do? Is it a 3-day meet? Is it a 2-day meet? Are you doing a meet with time trials in it? Stuff like, you got to know all that stuff. Okay. And that way you pay real quick and real easy online, and it's not much of a hassle anymore, okay? please do all your payments that way. It's the quickest and the easiest way, especially for Paige. Now that she's doing a lot of this stuff, it was a great thing for us to not have to also keep track of checks as well. Okay. So you're going to use the sanction application from the Gulf website, which includes any updates and things like that from the years past. All of the sanction application forms need to be sent to Paige, and
The email address
Yeah.
in the handouts is the one that
okay, so there's an email address on the handout one that is different than this one here. So make sure you use that email from now on. It'll be golfsanction@golfswimming.org, I think.
No, it's the same.
Next slide.
Next slide.
Oh, yeah, the next slide.
Oh, this. Oh, okay.
Sanctions@golfswimming.org.
Sanctions,
That's the email you're supposed to use.
yes. Sanctions@golfswimming.org.
This is
Golf sanctions. Golf sanctions.
It's also going to be on the website. It's also going to be on the website.
Yes, but the sanction has that email on it. The sanctions form that I just filled out today has that email on it. So that's where I emailed it.
She right now she's going through the process of switching over.
So
So she'll still check
this.
this. She'll still check it, but we do want to get it to the point where everything's on one. Sanction form still has it. Okay. So when you fill out your announcement, you submit it to Paige using a Word format. Okay. Now, when you submit it, you also need to submit several other people as well. The general chairman, the admin, vice chair, and then also technical planning chairman. Your meet referee and your administrative referee. Okay. All of which will put some thought into what is going on with that meet announcement, if there needs to be any changes, okay? So please make sure you email everybody. That way there's a chain of email and you guys can make sure and get everything taken care of. And no re-sanctions need to be done, okay? If there is a change to a meet, you have to re-sanction the meet, okay? For example, things like a venue change. You have to submit your sanction back to Paige in a Word form, okay? If your meet referee changes, if the time, some sort of time on your start time of your meet changes, anything big, okay? If something small changes about your meet, okay, here might be one. You decide there's not as many kids at your meet, you don't need to start warm-ups at 7:30, okay? You don't really need to have that change. Warm-ups will start at 8, there'll be 2 warm-ups. You don't have to change that type of thing in your meet announcement. That's not a big change, okay? Things like that. But everything does need to go through Paige. Make sure you get it re-sanctioned. Don't just send it with the same sanction number back to Paige. Sorry. Don't just send the information to be posted with Shannon Clark until it is re-sanctioned through Paige. Okay?
Joel, question. So if it comes up, if there is a sanction change and there is a revision, is there any plan for the Gulf to then tell everybody involved other than just posting something on the website? Because I don't think that's enough.
So
if there's a revision, it needs to be sent out, broadcast to the band, or those that are involved.
So you're talking after hosts have sent stuff in.
Well, for example, last year there was an open meet where there was the 200 fly on both days.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it was the 200 fly, but it was an event that was accidentally ended up being on the Saturday session and the Sunday session.
Okay.
you obviously, somebody caught it, brought it to your attention, you corrected the meet file, sent it to Shannon to post on the website, but none of the coaches knew there was a new HYB file out. And that causes problems.
So yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Like a new meet
we will do a better job with new meet files. If an announcement for like an open meet is redone before teams are assigned to meets, nothing, it will be probably sent out. But if it happens after, or if it's a senior meet or something like that, if something changes, then information will be sent out on that.
When you send entries for a multi-site meet to the teams, can you send a list of the emails that actually sent you the entries? Because sometimes we have a contact for a team, but we don't know if that's the person who sent the entries this year or not. So maybe communicating with the wrong person.
All right. Sure.
He has done it if asked in the past.
I've done it. I've done it. I did it a long time, and it got super time consuming. But we'll try. If something happens where you don't have an email for somebody, you know, I can easily find it really quick.
It's only when you put the team list out, it's right there.
It is. So as long as I do it that way.
Oh.
I'll just do it that way. Okay, so sanction application form must be received 24 hours within the due date of when the sanction is due, okay? Otherwise, $100 fine for late submissions of announcements. Sanction numbers will be issued only after everything is correct on the application and the fees have been received, okay? Received. If any changes, additions, like I said before, you need to make sure that it is re-sanctioned, okay? So, things that must be done and posted on your meet announcement, your meet referee, your administrative official, the meet director, and coaches for your team, okay? Also, something that's not listed on there that should be is your safety marshal or meet marshal, okay? That person also needs to be listed and certified to be on there. The sanction announcement and HYV file must be posted on the golf no later than 6 weeks prior to the meet. Sometimes there's issues that arise. Obviously, if something happens to the meet, then you have to get it re-sanctioned and stuff like that. So just 6 weeks. Okay, that's where you're shooting for.
So Joel, hold on. So on that very top part, registration certifications of all these people, including the meet marshal, will be checked. It's as of the first day of the meet. No, sorry, last day of the meet. So all these people may be current 8 weeks out, but between 8 weeks and the last day of the swim meet, people's certifications may expire, and Paige is going to catch that. And so make sure that everybody who you've got listed is not only currently certified, but is certified on the last day. That'll save you a lot of time and a lot of back and forth with Paige and frustration when you can't get your meet sanctions.
Okay, Paige also wanted me to go over the golf sponsored meets. Anybody that has a golf sponsored meet, you will receive a template from her that is the announcement. You fill out your information for your meet. She'll have it highlighted what you need to fill out. You fill it out based off of your meet, then you resend it back to her, okay? For club sponsored meets, you have to do your own, right? It's caused a lot of issues in the past with lots and lots and lots of announcements being sent in that are completely worded differently, and it just is a lot more time consuming for her to go over 7 or 6 sites. Same mistakes, over and over again. She does it, she sends it to you, you send it back to her, okay? It doesn't take as long for her to go over that and see the mistakes, okay?
She actually gave a deadline too, like the November open meet. Here's your template, it's due by this date for your plan.
That's basically the back.
There you go. That's what happens when we didn't read this slide before. Okay.
Don't push the button, it'll feel clear. There you go.
All right. So writing your announcements. There is a sample announcement on the website. Okay, you can go use that. It'll give you the basic form that you need to fill out your announcement for a club-sponsored meet. Okay, it needs to list all of these items, your order of events, if it's a qualifying meet, if there's cutoff times, the location of your meet with a map, where parking's at, if there's any hotels, safety guidelines for warm-up, entry forms, and then if there's entry verification form as well. So writing your announcements, you need to include language that explains things like the 400 IM. Is it going to be alternating boys and girls? You need timers for specific events. Or if you need a timer for a 400 and over event, you need to have that posted in there as well. If you're combining age groups and then splitting them out with scoring, okay, you need to have that taken care of as well, listed in your announcement. Relay cards. When are relay cards due? Are they due the day before, or are they due at a specific time on the day of the meet? Now, you can also go look at previous announcements online to see what these are. Typically, it's at the bottom of the announcement where the information about each event is posted, so you can look there. So writing announcements, also follow the approved meet formats. Request for exceptions from golf, for golf-sponsored meets. You know, if for some reason your venue you can't get in until 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock or something like that, you need to get a special request from the technical planning, okay? Use the ages listed for the golf-sponsored meets. 9 to 10-year-olds versus 10 and unders, 15 and overs versus senior meets. Events, what's being scored. Most of our golf sponsor meets, you're scoring 6 and unders, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, and then 9 and 10-year-olds. Okay, even though the event may be listed as 10 and unders. All scheduled meets are to be used the scoring through meet manager file, but it is in your USA handbook. So meet manager, the up to date meet manager file is meet manager 6. So clubs must club sponsored meets. You could use touchpad for our golf sponsored meets. We will still be using our meet manager 6. Okay. Registration with Meet Mobile is recommended for your meets. So please figure out how to set that up. Usually your administrative official should know how to do that.
Oh, Joel, remember a point of change something. So when Joel does when we do these multi-venue meets.
Oh, thank you. You must change the venue of your meet.
The name of the venue, right?
The name of the venue, because the way I do it is I put it in, I say your venue. Okay? And if you don't change that, when you go in to set it up through Meet Mobile before the meet, the other team that made the same mistake, your team meet will be combined into one, okay? And it won't score it properly. Parents will moan and groan and complain about it, and it's too late to make any changes at that point. So make sure you change that. I do try, when I send it to you, I do try to make a note of that most of the time. Change your name of your venue. Okay, maybe even where the meet's at. It's always Houston, and the zip code is 7777. Okay, I don't think that's right. Okay, then another program thing you can use is MeetBot as well to help know when time our events are scheduled. So you can use MeetBot, update it as the meet goes on, so that parents know when their kids' event is coming up. Okay, so that's another one you can do, especially if your seating is outside for your parents and they have to come in. It's also a good tool to use as MeetBot. Hosts should update Meet Manager software before they create their meet files, so that there's no issues during the meet. Time standards are updated annually. We try to get those posted on the golf website. And 2017 tag sanction standards, they're not available yet. Do not use the 2016 standards. So wait for those. I know that they're working on them right now, so just wait for them to be approved. So it's essential for transferring the details from your meet information to Meet Manager. Make sure you do it correctly. Make sure the events are correct in there, so that when they are sent to the teams and they put them in their programs to put kids in their events, then it is correct. Okay. Double check it. Make sure somebody else checks it as well if you can, so that there are not any mistakes that happen. It's very important to get all the details correct. Otherwise, you will have to send a new file out, and it's just a big headache. Okay. So when you do check this, again, your AO may be the one that puts this together. Maybe you put it together. Have somebody else look over it. 2 eyes are better than one, and just double check your work. It's super important to make sure you don't have any little tiny mistakes. So scoring and clerk of course people kind of maybe need to know a little bit of the basics, so that they know what types of information has to be on the forms, so that it gets to you without you having somebody. If the form's not filled out correctly, then they have to go find the coach. And it takes time to go find the coach, get the form filled out correctly. So make sure everybody understands the proper way to get the form filled out and there's no mistakes. You need to know how to print reports, site sheets, meet programs, session reports, and athlete reports. Also, add an athlete to a heat and lane. Move athletes that are swimming in the wrong heat and lane. Know how to use scratch, fat, and seating functions, and create events for swim-ups. The Meet Manager 6 is very good. It's added a lot of different things to it to make life a lot easier for your administrative officials.
So split times, that's one that kind of comes up. And at any time during the meet, a coach may come up and ask you to create a split time for a swimmer. So let's say this is classic of distance swimmers. They dive in to swim the 500 freestyle. They go their best time at the 50, the 100, the 200, and then finally the 500. The coach may come up and say, hey, I'd like my swimmers split times for the 50, 100, and 200 to get loaded into swims. Those times will not get loaded into swims as times unless they're put into the meet file as a split time. Okay? So whoever's working in your AO should know how to do this, but do not reject any request for split times during the meet. After the meet, sometimes coaches will realize, oh wow, I'm looking at my swimmer's mile time. I didn't realize he made the tags cut in the 1,000. At that point, if the coach contacts you, don't go and don't worry about making the split time. Have that coach contact Rick Kellenbach. Okay, have that coach point the results file to Rick Kellenbach. He actually has it already. You say swimmer A I'd like his split time from the 1,000 and the mile to get loaded into swims, and then Rick will take care of it. There's no reason for you to recreate your meet results file and post it and do all that. But during the meet, if a coach comes up to you and asks you at any time to create a split time for an athlete, your AO and your clerk, of course, should make that for that athlete. There is some kind of a miscommunication out there that split requests have to be done before the swim. See, there's two different kinds of split requests. Sometimes a swimmer will go for a time. For an example, they're swimming the 100 freestyle, and they're going for their tags cut in the 50. Okay? That's when the coaches and parents will have extra sets of watches behind the lane. The swimmer will touch with the hand. If they're doing backstrokes, they'll touch on their back. They can't touch with their feet. The referee knows the rules. But that's an example of a swimmer who's going to request a split time ahead of time. They're going for a cut. Now sometimes they make it, sometimes they don't. If they do make it, then it needs to get recorded in Meet Manager as an official split time. But the case that I'm talking about is where a kid has a bust out swim. They do best times halfway through the race of the swim that they're doing. And the coach will realize that during the meet, hey, I'd like my swimmer's split times to get loaded into swims as an official time. Take that request at any point during the meet and build it into your Meet Manager file so that when the CL2 file gets sent to Rick Kallenbach, that swimmer's split times get loaded into swims as an official time. Okay?
So, with the features of Meet Manager 6, during the meet, it helps the people with the computers understand what is good. Okay? Blue is what's being viewed, the current heat that's being viewed. Okay? Gray means that there's nothing that happened with that meet, event, or heat, meaning that it may not even have started yet. Okay? Red needs some attention. Okay? There's something missing, there was some issues, and then green is there's no issues, you're good to go with that heat. Okay? Alright, renting golf equipment. Eddie Adams, who's right over here, is our golf equipment coordinator, and he does a really good job of organizing the trailers, making sure that everything is in there. If he is not notified that something is broken or needs fixed, it doesn't get fixed, okay? But if he's notified, it's fixed, all right? So make sure he does that. If you want equipment, make sure that you reserve it 8 weeks prior to the meet by emailing Eddie at this email. Also, there are 3 sites where trailers are at, and he'll assign you to a site to go pick it up. You have to pick it up. You have to find somebody to pick it up. You pay, again, online under the golf pay to $100 per day for the trailer, which just helps with the upkeep of the trailer, making sure things are maintained properly. So the renting club is required to complete a pre and post inventory of the trailer. Any equipment in need of repair, make sure you make notes of that. Defective items must be tagged and placed in the trailer properly so that they can easily get to it. And email the status report forms to the host after 2 days after the meet, okay? And then failure to complete will result in fine. Equipment may be picked up 1 to 2 days prior to the meet. The trailer is due back by 3 p.m. the following day of the meet unless you've made some alternative arrangements. And late charges will be based upon the day, and you need to make sure that you get that taken care of in a timely manner.
Do we have any new teams requesting equipment this year? Can you go with that here?
So in inventory, so everything for your meet needs to be inventoried before your meet. Okay, the day before your meet's not enough time to do that. You got to make sure all your stopwatches work, stuff like that. So make sure you have things proper. Computers, printers, network cables. Some stuff is in the trailer, some stuff is not in the trailer. For example, timing system equipment. You need to make sure you have that. If you're not renting the trailer, sometimes the pools have those. Okay. Lap counter, stopwatches, a lap bell for the distance events, scoreboard. Golf does not have scoreboard. Make sure that your pool has a scoreboard. If you're renting golf equipment, it may not be compatible with the scoreboard of the facility, so you need to understand that. Maybe make a note of that in your announcement. Strobes, lights for handicapped swimmers, PA system. You make sure you get one. Supplies like clipboards, paper, pens, lots of paper. You're going to use plenty of paper at a meet. Make sure you have it. Okay, make sure you have batteries. So make sure that everything is working. Sorry. So think about which pieces of equipment could cause a train wreck if they fail. Okay. Computer fails.
Only computer fails.
Yeah, sorry.
Bring one
computer and it fails. If you only have one printer, that one fails. Okay. Only one computer console cable. It breaks. Figure out it doesn't work whenever you get there. Somehow it fell out of your bag. Okay. For those of you that are renting golf equipment, your computer console cable is not in that. You have to provide that. Okay. It's not something that the golf provides because of how often they get lost and broken. The timing fails. Timing system fails, and you only have 2 stopwatches. If the timing system fails, you actually have to have 3 stopwatches per lane. Okay. Having only minimum number of timing system components for a championship meet. Okay. You don't have enough backup buttons. Championship meet, you only have 32 backup buttons. Okay. But you're running both sides. One fails. You need to have more backup buttons than that. Okay. So 3 weeks prior to the meet. So these are just some things that we're going to go over, and then towards the end we're going to kind of go over some questions that you might have. So receiving entries from the team or from myself, depending on what meet you're hosting. Okay. The teams are going to send the entries to you. Build your meet manager file with a stable computer and back it up often. Look at entries for each team as they come in. Make sure that they imported correctly. Sometimes teams send me entries and there's nothing in there. They have 0 swimmers. So I make sure and send them an email back saying that you need to have swimmers in your meet file, otherwise you're not going to have anybody swim. So sometimes there's relays at a meet. A large team may not have any relays. So I'll try to email them back, say, you didn't put any relays in your, I forgot that we actually had relays to this, thank you. Put it in. Look at entries, check to see if there's missing relays. Make sure entry times that make sense, okay? Look at the first place and the last place person time for each event, okay? 50 free, if somebody's listed as 12 seconds, it's probably not their 50 free time, okay? 500 free, 56 seconds, okay? Maybe some kids' times got mixed up, okay? Make sure that you are checking that way that you don't have to make any changes the day of the meet.
Well, actually, that's a very important point, because in the short course, we pre-seed events 200 and less, and let's say the team gave you a whole series of entries and they're off by 1 event. And you don't realize until after you've created all your heat sheets that the coach has made a mistake with the entries. And now those heat sheets are worthless because they're in the wrong events. Now you got to go and reseed the entire meet and generate all that paper the day of the meet. So what Joel is trying to say here is look at your site sheet and make sure that the times more or less make sense for each event so that you don't go and print out all of those heat sheets for no reason.
Also, if specific teams are supposed to come to your meet, you know, make sure that they send their entries in. Don't just neglect, you know, forget them that you didn't send your entries in. We want to try to help the teams out, get their entries in, make sure they get them on time or as close to that as possible, okay? Otherwise, most of the stuff I'll do if you're doing a golf open. So you need to generate a financial list. Check off the teams that have sent their checks in. Some teams will just bring a check to the meet. Some teams will mail the check in, okay? Collect and sort the entry reports in alphabetical order. Print out emails of last minute changes to any entry times or events. And keep team entry reports, email printout, financial reports with the clerk of course, okay? Remember, saying no to late entries is not always the best policy. You know, think about the kids. You know, sometimes it's the parents that make the mistake. Sometimes it's the coach that makes the mistake. Most of the time, it's not the swimmer who's swimming at your meet that makes the mistake, okay? So, all right. So receiving the file. After you receive the file, you need to contact Annette Leach, who will make sure that the swimmers are registered through USA Swimming and their stuff is in there properly, okay? She does a really good job of this. She gets information sent out very quickly, and she does a really good job of getting things back to you very, very quickly, okay? This way, you can make sure that your file is correct, the kids' ages are correct at the meet, the names are correct at the meet, so it goes into USA Swimming properly. Also, after the meet, you need to make sure that's done too, which we'll go over. Swimmers with the wrong age, gender, let's see. And then, yeah, after the meet is done, you also need to do this because of deck entries, okay? When you have deck entries, sometimes the parent fills something out wrong. Can't read their handwriting, which is very possible. She typed something in wrong, okay? So just make sure that you get those things done after the meet as well as before the meet. Okay. We went over all that. Okay, any questions about that file? Most of the time, your meet director, you know, in some cases won't actually do a lot of this stuff. Maybe your entry chairperson, but you as the meet director need to make sure that this is taken care of, okay? So coaches and officials with expired credentials may not work at the meet or be on deck. Violators, they're not certified through USA liability insurance. So you and your meet referee will receive information that will actually come from Eddie as well, and they'll tell you who's on the naughty list, who's on the nice list, okay? And just make sure you go through that, go to your coaches. Is this person still a coach on your team? Are they here? Yes, they are. Their athlete protection's not up to date. They can't coach. So they need to get that taken care of. Those guys, they can go get that taken care of immediately, come back, show you, take out their phone. They'll have Meet Mobile on their phone. No, Deck Pass on their phone. And they'll show you that they are now certified to be on deck. Okay? That trumps what Eddie's list says. Okay? So if they get it taken care of between the time Eddie sends you the list and the time the meet starts, they could be on deck as long as that shows all green on their Deck Pass. Okay?
Eddie, we noticed the other day that Deck Pass is not available at the
they're redoing some of it, and I think we're gonna get some more information, but it should be,
But you can always check your credentials on your USA Swimming account.
yes.
It's just the Deck Pass app is available right now.
So files that need to be posted on the golf website. So the Monday, not the Wednesday, the Monday prior to the meet, we need to post the timeline, the warm-up assignments, and the lane timing assignments for your meet. Okay? You need to email this to Shannon Clark, who will get it up as soon as she gets the email. She'll post it on the website, okay? When determining your warm-up schedule, look at how many swimmers are in each team. Figure out how many swimmers you want per lane. Needs to be safe. 50 kids per lane is not safe, okay? Sorry. 49 is okay. So make sure that your plane is safe. You're not putting too many kids. You know, there's a way on Meet Manager that you can actually see how many swimmers from each team are in each session. Okay, so make sure you look at that when you're doing that. Your meet programs need to have the order of events, your meet timeline that you have. Information is flyover starts, list of the teams, warm-up lane timing assignments, qualifying times and standards, not just specifically for that meet, but for other meets. Put the USA motivational time standards in. Once tags time standards come out, golf champs time standards, put those in your meet so that everybody has those available for them. Maps, if you have ads, the name of your meet referee and other key people, the meet evaluation form, and safety information. You're going to print out approximately 70 copies. 70% of the total amount of swimmers at your meet, okay? And then maybe 50 or so for coaches. Now in that case, you actually are going to be probably printing those off the day of the meet after the deck entries are done. Allow some coaches, allow some copies for the coaches as well at the meet the day when they get there. Some of them may not really care about the deck entries, okay? Some of them do. So just kind of play it by ear a little bit, okay? But make sure if there are a lot of deck entries that you do get those to the coaches that do want them, okay? The day of the meet, during warm-up, hand out the relay cards if you have any, announce when they're due back. Plug in. Okay, so plug in on decks into open lanes. If a new heat is needed, go ahead and do that. Close on deck entries 45 minutes prior to start. I keep forgetting to change that. It's 45 minutes prior to the start of the meet. And post heat sheets with on deck entries as well. So post those so that the kids can get to them. And then print lane timer sheets out and things for your officials and also for coaches. So about 15 minutes before the meet, clear warm-up pool, call for timers, put out the clipboards, watches, test timing system and pads so that the first time the kids dive into the pool, there's not a mistake. Test it beforehand, and then about 5 minutes, that's whenever you play your national anthem, okay? During the meet, seed positive check-in events. For the end of the meet, you might have 500s at the end of the meet. You need to start seeding those. Collect relay cards. Collect lane timer sheets as they come in. Hand to the scoring table. Enter into any DQs that the officials bring to you. Compare your watch times, the timing system readouts, and then the timing console people, they'll alert administrative officials if there's any issues, because they have to make sure it is approved through them so it is correct if there's any changes, okay? Print and post results. Show splits, time standards, things like that on those results. And also get the label awards out to your awards table as soon as possible. So, malfunction may have occurred during an event of a difference of about, say, 0.3 seconds or greater between your backup button and then the primary system, okay, the touchpad. Don't automatically assume that it's wrong, okay? We need to, and this is an administrative official thing, but you guys need to kind of understand how this works. Compare the pad times to both buttons and also the watches, okay? Use the judge's order of finish to determine which time to use if the pad or button and watch timers all are wrong. Sometimes the pad doesn't work, the buttons don't work, and the timers looked up at the board and saw there wasn't a time, so they just didn't write anything down, okay? I don't know why they do that. You know, maybe they made a mistake, but it comes to you and you're like, oh, I don't have any times for this kid. So you need to go by, they need to go by the proper order of finish with the times, okay? If the primary system has failed, use the backup times to determine the official swimmer's time, okay? So during the meet, also be accessible. Make sure everything's running smoothly. Ask around. Make sure everybody has everything they need. Okay, and you got a lot of money from meet program sales, clerk of course sales, and make sure everything gets locked up. And also, it's part of your job to make sure that the facility is relatively clean as the meet goes along, unless you've hired somebody else to accomplish that. And you also need to watch out for unruly behavior with swimmers and contact the team if necessary. So after the meet, back up your meet manager file, clean up, prepare for the next session if you have 2 sessions that day, or at the end of the day's meet, be ready for the next day. And keep all entries, entry files, lane timer sheets, console printers, printouts and everything for at least 1 year after the meet is over. So meet results in high-tech meet manager. Make sure everything is done, backed up. The PDF format shall include the team information page, any teams or individual scores, the results and the publication order, and print 2 columns per page so that it'll show all the no swims, DQs, and scratches. Okay. These things must be emailed to the webmaster 3 days after the conclusion of the meet. The fine is a $100 fine if it's later than that. And
hold on, Joel. Go back. Yeah. Now, before you generate your files to get sent to the Gulf webmaster, you need to send your meet manager file back to the net. Remember, the net checked USAIDs and whether or not swimmers were registered before the meet started. But now you've gone through your swim meet and you've got kids that you've on deck against. Right? Now she needs to check and make sure that those kids are actually USA registered and that their names and their USAIDs are entered correctly. Because if you don't go through that step, those swimmers who on deck at the meet may not get their times loaded into swims. It's important to send that to the net before you generate your final results.
so the meet director is responsible for completing and submitting the forms within 2 weeks of the meet. Okay. And 2 needs to go to the technical planning committee chair, that's me. So meet summary report. Okay, the meet evaluation forms if you guys get any as well. Also, must submit high point award winners and scoring to the golf webmaster, and should supply golf swimming publicity coordinator a meet summary, team high points awards, any national, state, or golf swimming record breakers, and any other highlights in a format suitable for publication. And that's Bo back there. So you would find the information, send it to Bo, and he's the publicity chairman for that. So the meet director is also responsible for completing and submitting all the forms within 2 weeks, and these go to Tom Haas, the golf treasurer. So this is the meet director's financial report with the splash fees, the team report, the meet financial statement, and you need to mail that to Tom. Mail it, snail mail, everything to Tom with the check. That's his address. Any questions?
Quickly, real quick, information went out today to coaches about the 2017 non-athlete applications. Those are online now in a couple of different places. If you go to general and then go to club, it's there. It's also on the coaches thing, and you put that on the official site also. 2016 swims closes tomorrow morning. 2017 opens tomorrow morning also. So we will start putting 2017 information in tomorrow. So all of this stuff needs to be done on the computer. It makes my job a lot easier when I'm trying to read and basically type this stuff in now, because that's still how we're having to do it. So if it's on computer, I can read the letters a whole lot easier than a lot of hand stuff. So, and all that's on the website.
All right. If you have any particular questions regarding anything that you're hosting with a meet or something like that, just hang out. I'll be here. Did you not receive the test? Real quick, somebody's asked about the test. The test that you got today, just as soon as you get it done, scan it, whatever, email it back to me or to Darcy, and we will grade it, and we'll get your scores sent back to you. If you do fail the test, you're going to take it again, okay?
You want to?
I know. Still recording?
Yes.
Oh, just push